like to start this talk with an observation I made during the last ThingsCon as well, but also throughout the past year, and before that probably as well, is that I get the impression that Internet of Things is becoming a label which you can stick on products, and just because it's connected, it seems to be cool and nice to have. And when I look at this selection of Kickstarter projects, I really wonder, do we really need to put a big sensor block on the feet of a newborn child in order to track the temperature and heart rate? Do we really need a bicycle pedal that counts how many times I push down on the bicycle pedal? Do we really need a cup which tracks what I've been drinking? So, looking at all of this happening, I can't help myself but wondering, what does it mean? My name is Dries. I am a design researcher at Studio Dot. It's an agency in Antwerp. And I am an affiliate researcher at the University of Antwerp, Faculty of Design Sciences. Before going to the case that was explained on the little text thing on the side of the ThingsCon's website, I want to take some minutes to explain a little bit how, when I talk about meaning, how I perceive that or how I interpret it. And I've been working on a kind of on and off model to make it more clear. For now, the working title is the long tail of Internet of Things. And we've seen the long tail before, so I can quickly skip that kind of, before today, in the Intel presentation, I think. So I can skip the general introduction of that. I want to make a link between the power law graph of the long tail and what I see relevant or happening when you map Internet of Things connected products to this graph. So in the first section on the left-hand side, so that are typically products which appeal to a very large or a larger audience. When you look at what products you can put there that are connected, I have the impression that they're mostly predefined. The use of these products is predefined. So you have a thermostat like Nest, you control it, you use it to control temperature in your house. The second section are products which can be personalized. Like little printer, it's a little cube which you can you can choose which publications you want the printer to print, and that actually personalizes that product to your interest. So you get building blocks to do things. And the last section, which is on the very right-hand side, are products that I think do not tell you how they should be used. So the use is self-defined. Like Goodnight Lamp, it's a connected lamp. You push a button, one lamp goes on, and another one elsewhere in the world also goes on. But the use of this product is not predefined. You define it yourself. So if you link this to meaning, what I would like to propose is, or what I have been thinking about, is that the level of meaning rises the more that you go to the self-defined use side of this. So when products are more becoming a queue for interaction instead of a pathway which is paved down or bolted down, meanings become more deep, more emotional. You're able to attach yourself in a different way to a good night lamp, for instance, than you are to a Nest thermostat, I believe. And of course, then you could question, is that still linked to the long tail graph? Is the market size for the good night lamp actually smaller or not than the Nest thermostat? I guess it is. But that's something that has been boggling my mind. And it really helped me to understand how meaning works related to internet-connected products. So this little theoretical part aside, I'd like to introduce a case which we've been working on at Studio Dot. It's a case called the Otto. It has this wonderful logo. Won't go too much into detail about the acronym, but you know, these projects need to have a name. what is the Otto project about? In the project, we try to tackle the issue which a lot of people are tackling right now. It's the graying of society. People are becoming older, and in a couple of years, we'll have a booming amount of older people or seniors. And the issue that we see, or that triggered us to do this project, if you look at current connected products in the healthcare environment or in the e-well-being kind of domain, they are very rarely oriented at the senior. They're usually oriented at the caretaker or the social setting around this person, which is this little picture. So what we try to do is to approach e-health or e-well-being, or whatever you would like to call it, in a different way. We try to focus on the humans first instead of the technology first, which is another thing that we've seen happening, is that all products, or most concepts that we came across, or more concepts that we saw, were very technologically focused. The focus was on the technology, not on the people. So I want to run through a couple of steps that we went through in the design process, and in the end, give you some statements regarding what we've learned throughout doing this. We started off by trying to understand who are the stakeholders in this project. And I believe this is a pretty crucial step, even though you can find a lot of things in literature or in related projects. But I really got, the team and myself, we really got a lot out of first sending out this cultural probe in which we try to understand what activities are people doing, what interests people, and this was done with a sample of 40 people, senior citizens of the city of Aalst. It's a city in Belgium. And following on to that, we went a little bit deeper and really tried to understand the values of the people by going into their context, asking them a couple of questions, just seeing what is their context of use. And this resulted into conclusions in 5 domains. So we had things in technological affinity, the dependency on care, what are their daily routines, how do their social contact look like, and what's their vision on aging. I won't go into too much detail about all of these aspects, but I would like to say the 3 design directions that came out of this. Firstly, there's conversations over the wall. For us, these were drivers that we were going to use in the design process following up from this. Conversation over the wall, basically what we mean here is that you shouldn't be forced to do a certain type of interaction. As you would meet your next door neighbor coming out of the house, you don't always have to say hello. You can choose a little bit what you do. Second one is a seismograph. Every kind of data that we capture should be visual. And last one is a daily calendar, which any information that we show has to be in a bite-sized, concise, understandable way. So this is all very nice. What did we actually do? Then we went back to our own internal team and created a couple of, provocative is maybe not the right word, but a couple of concepts which we created to get discussion going. We used mixed fidelity prototypes, which means that we only made the parts interactive or seemingly interactive regarding several concepts which needed to be interactive. And what we wanted to do, and the reason that we chose to do this, was to give the people who we wanted to show this to the feeling that it was working and that they could imagine how something would work. Because if you show these kind of people something technologically new, or if you, like, just on a drawing, they cannot really understand or place themselves into this other context which they do, well, often know nothing about. So these concepts, these prototypes, they were really rough, quick and dirty, duct taped together things. For instance, this was a social radar clock which positioned the senior person in the middle and all the caretakers on the edges. This got a lot of discussion going regarding privacy, location sharing, that kind of thing. That's really what we wanted to get out of it as well. Have a discussion on, are these issues relevant or not? So we managed to redefine or rephrase the actual design challenge that we faced based on the discussions that we had with seniors, caretakers, social security, all kind of stakeholders that are linked to this. And it was redefined in a way that the caretaker actually wants to know, is everything okay with the senior? Whereas the senior wants to know, wants to just have a fun experience. He just wants to connect with his family or with the people that care for him. So our challenge was to, can we create or can we come up with a concept which does both of these things? We took this design challenge, posted it to an expert panel of designers who are doing things in connected products. And what we really learned there is that in the previous steps of the process, we were really focusing on the things. We were focusing on the clock, we were focusing on the photo frame, we were focusing on the projector. But what we really learned from proposing the design challenge to someone else was that it's not about the things, but it's about the things that people do. It's about activities which are mediated through things that you can touch or products that you can hold. I'll take one more minute to already show you a little bit which direction we were heading in now, just that you know that there's actually something coming out of this. Currently, we're working on a concept called ça va. It's the French word for is everything okay? And the direction that we're exploring at the moment and the prototype that we hopefully will be building in the summer is going to be a docking station kind of like thing, or a dock, which a senior person can use in order to have a view on the digital world that his or her family members are constructing. The person can react using physical buttons on this dock. You can get subtle notifications that the dock says, okay, look, you've got new pictures available, you can view them. And you can react using voice. So I can talk a lot more about it, so if you're interested in more details, come talk to me after. From the caretaker point of view, all activity, all interaction with the dock is tracked. We can come up with like a usage kind of graph, and we can have all the smart algorithms define, for instance, look, this person is having a normal daily routine, but I guess that your home as a caretaker might be a good time to call because you probably forgot to call the past 2 weeks. So that's the kind of design direction that we're heading right now. So that gives you in a really concise manner the whole design process that we run through. I'd like to end with 3 statements which I think are important to create when you're creating connected products or things with meaning. Firstly, and I already mentioned it before, is to really have a deep understanding of the stakeholders. Often, I see in other projects that I'm involved in that there is understanding or maybe 1 or 2 stakeholders, but very rarely all stakeholders are considered. That's my personal experience in the project which I work on. I also mentioned that you should, or when designing for meaning, providing cues and leaving interpretation of interaction open to someone who's going to use this product is pretty important. And when you know who you're designing for, you have a deep understanding of the values that people care about, you should be able to untangle functionality of a product to very concise bits. Instead of creating one bulky thing that does everything, I would argue for chopping things up and really creating small, concise products which serve a purpose for someone and really fulfill a value. And with that, I would like to end. Thanks for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Dries. That was very interesting. I think we have some minutes for some questions, if anyone has something. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Go ahead. You can take this.
Hi. I love the product. You're like with the buttons for the social media thing. One thing I'm wondering is how are you gonna connect that with, like, are you gonna connect it with special Facebook profiles then, or how's the initiation phase with the elderly person using that, and what are you gonna show there? How should that work? Like, I get the point with the buttons and things, but yeah.
Can I use this? Yes.
Oh.
It's indeed a very relevant question. It's one of the things that we're currently figuring out. How are we going to do the installation? It's a crucial part of this whole thing. Yeah.
Hi, and thank you.
Hello.
How do you know from the interaction of an elderly person with the system that he is having a regular daily routine, or that he's not having a regular daily routine if he's not, yeah.
Yeah, what we're currently doing is we have a couple of sensors installed in people's houses who are, well, members of the target audience. And we're trying to figure out which is the most crucial additional sensor, for instance, which we need to place in this dock or whatever it might be, that would enhance the data in such a way that we can have predictive algorithms which can provide us that data. And currently, we just have, we're collecting data at this very moment. I think they're installing sensors in houses today. We're collecting like doors which open and close. We're collecting info about movement. We're collecting internet-connected plugs. We're using these Fibaro socket things. But that's just an exploration to see, do we need additional sensors to enhance this data, or can we actually predict enough from touches on the screen, for instance? So that's an ongoing exploration.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dries. Thanks a lot.